Welcome back, everyone. It's great to see you all again for a video filled with deep, troubling emotions today. Life always forces us to make choices, but some choices cost more than just money. They cost pieces of our soul from the past. What would you do if a forgotten fragment of your past suddenly returned right when your future was hanging by a thread? Just as Toan and Diem are struggling to build a new farm from scratch, an old motorcycle from Toan's days as a director suddenly reappears. It brings with it memories, hesitation, and a difficult choice. Keep the final symbol of his past success, or let it go to protect the life they are building together. This emotional story is about sacrifice, love, and new beginnings. Before we embark on this emotional journey, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Your support is my biggest motivation to keep bringing you stories that touch the heart and inspire the soul. Now let's sit back and listen to Toan and Diem's story. The sun, like a glowing red coal, was slowly setting behind the mountain peak, dyeing the land Toan and Diem were clearing in crimson. Toan paused his hoeing, wiping sweat from his forehead. He looked down at his calloused hands. These hands used to sign billion-dong contracts. Now they were only used to hoe handles and mud. Yet strangely, he felt at peace. Diem was busy weeding the next row over. She looked up, handing him a mug of fresh tea. "Take a break, honey. What should we eat tonight? I picked some ferns. Maybe stir-fry them with garlic." Toan smiled, about to answer when, "Vroom, vroom," the roar of Thu's old motorbike tore through the silence as it struggled up the slope. Thu rushed into the yard like a whirlwind, braking so hard he burned rubber, kicking up a cloud of dust. His face was pale sweat pouring down, looking more panicked than ever before. Thu panting, "Toan, Diem, we're in trouble. Something huge has happened." Toan dropped his hoe and walked over quickly. "What's wrong? Calm down and tell me." "Thu, just now, I was delivering goods past the district police station. Officer Hung, the guy who handles residency records, he flagged my bike down. He asked me if I knew anyone named Huang." Toan froze. The name Huang struck him like a bolt of lightning. It was the name that sometimes haunted his nightmares. Toan voice hardening. "Then what?" I said I didn't know, but he pulled out a photo. It was a photo of you. He said, "Tell this guy to come to the station immediately. We just found a crucial piece of evidence related to a missing persons case from 3 years ago. It's his motorcycle." Diem dropped the water mug. Crash. "Police a missing persons case, Toan. Are you involved with the law?" Diem trembled, clinging to her husband's arm. Toan stood silent. The evening wind blew past, sending a chill down his spine. The motorcycle. In his fragmented memories, a blurry image appeared of a steel beast rushing with him through a stormy night. He turned to Diem, his eyes determined but filled with worry. "I have to go. Right now." Toan rode on the back of Thu's bike to the station gate. He told Thu to wait outside and walked in alone. Stepping into this place of authority made Toan's heart race, not out of fear of guilt, but out of fear of the truth. Officer Hung, a middle-aged man with a stern face, was reviewing files. He looked up at Toan over his reading glasses. "Officer Hung, you're here. Sit down." He slid a piece of paper toward Toan. Officer Hung. 3 years ago, we received a report about a large displacement motorcycle abandoned at the bottom of a ravine on Cloud Pass. Due to the dangerous terrain, the rescue team only managed to salvage it last week. We checked the VIN and engine number. It's registered to you, Huyen Vu Huang. Toan held the paper, his hands trembling slightly. Nguyen Vu Huang, his real name. Torn of the bike. Does it still exist? Officer Hung stood up, signaling Toan to follow. Let's go to the impound lot. You're going to be surprised. They walked to the back courtyard. Under the sickly yellow glow of high-voltage lights, a massive object covered in a blue tarp lay silent in the corner. Officer Hung walked over and yanked the tarp off. Whoosh! What appeared before Toan wasn't an ordinary motorcycle. It was a pitch-black Ducati monster, a true beast. Even after lying in the ravine for 3 years, the matte black paint still exuded a cold authority. The wheels were caked in hardened mud, the headlight was shattered, and the handlebars were bent. But looking at it, Toan felt a jolt of electricity run down his spine. His head throbbed with pain. Flashes of images came rushing back, the sound of the exhaust roaring, tearing through the night, the wail of sirens chasing from behind, and the plunge into the abyss. Toan muttering, "It's you, old friend." Officer Hung crossing his arms, observing Toan's reaction. Do you remember anything yet in the trunk? We found a few interesting things, but according to procedure, just take the bike home for now. We'll summon you later if needed. Officer Hung's vague statement made Toan even more uneasy. Why were they releasing the vehicle so easily? Or were they trying to let out a long line to catch a big fish? The bike's engine was dead. It couldn't start. Mr. Thu had to use a rope tied to his Honda Huyen to tow the pitch-black beast back to Sim Hill. Toan sat on the Ducati, gripping the ice-cold handlebars. The feeling was frighteningly familiar. This riding posture, this angle of view, his body remembered it better than his mind did. Arriving at the yard, DM was already waiting with an oil lamp in hand. When she saw the massive looming mass of black steel entering the yard, she was stunned. It was too different from their poor, simple surroundings. It looked like an alien spaceship that had crashed into this patch of farmland. DM, oh my god, this bike, is it really yours? Toan kicked down the stand. The bike stood towering in the middle of the yard, casting a long shadow on the wooden wall. Toan, yeah, the police said it's mine. It's been lying at the bottom of the ravine for 3 years. Mr. Thu untied the rope, looking at Toan with concern. Listen, Toan, I'll be honest. Looking at this bike, I sense a heavy, killing aura. You must have been no ordinary guy back in the day. Be careful. With that, Mr. Thu left, leaving the couple alone with the uninvited guest, made of steel. Toan took a wet rag, meticulously wiping every speck of mud from the gas tank. Under the mud, the sharp logo appeared. He touched his pocket. Earlier at the station, Officer Hung had given him a set of keys found near the wreckage. Toan inserted the key into the seat lock. His heart pounded. Officer Hung had said, "There are a few interesting things in the trunk." What was it? Drugs, weapons, or money? Click. The seat lock popped open. Toan held his breath, slowly lifting the seat. Inside the tiny storage compartment of this bike model, there wasn't much space. No gold, no money, no guns or ammo. Just a waterproof bag, a thick Ziploc kind taped securely to the side of the compartment. Toan peeled the bag open. Inside was a small leather notebook, soaked, but the oil-based ink was still vaguely legible. A metal USB drive, and an ultrasound photo of a fetus. Toan picked up the ultrasound photo. His hands trembled violently. The date on the photo was 3 years ago. The mother's name read Tran Thi Lan Smudged. Toan collapsed beside the bike. Who is this baby? Is it his child? If so, where are they now? Alive or dead? And the notebook. Toan flipped to the first page. The writing was hasty, scribbled, but full of hatred. If I die, all the evidence lies in this USB. The van, missing text group will have to pay. Diem couldn't sleep. Seeing her husband sitting in a daze, she threw on a jacket and went to sit beside him. She saw the items in Toan's hands. She didn't ask what they were. She just gently placed her hand on his shoulder. Diem, Toan, whoever you were in the past, whatever this bike brings, you are still my husband, the man who has tilled the soil and planted vegetables with me all this time. Toan turned to look at Diem. His eyes were red with emotion and torment. He clenched the USB drive in his hand. If he plugged this USB into a computer, he might regain everything: money, status, and enemies. But he might also lose this peace forever. He might lose Diem. Toan, Diem, this bike isn't a gift, it's a curse. But I can't run away anymore. I need to know who the baby in this photo is. Diem looked down at the ultrasound photo. Her eyes looked sad for a moment, but then she nodded strongly. I will help you find them, whatever the result. While the couple was lost in thought beside the bike, far away in the darkness of the forest, a tiny red light blinked. It was the light of a GPS tracker. Turns out this motorcycle had a tracking chip implanted, and the moment it was salvaged from the ravine, the signal was activated. In a luxurious room in the city, a man wearing a jade ring was staring at a computer screen. He smirked coldly, sipping a glass of red wine. Found you! So you've been hiding like a rat in that corner. Nguyen Vu Huang, you've held on to my property for a little too long. He picked up his phone, dialing a number. Hello, get the car ready. Tonight we go hunting. 3 days after the bike was sold, the atmosphere on Sim Hill was as bustling as a small construction site. With 100 million in hand, presumably from selling the bike or parts of it, Toan and Diem calculated very carefully. They didn't hire outside workers, but did what they could themselves, only hiring trucks for materials. Trucks carrying bricks, cement, steel mesh, and seedlings busily climbed the red dirt slope. The rickety wooden house had its foundation reinforced. An automatic water pipe system was installed to bring water from the stream right to the garden. Diem was so happy. Wearing a new conical hat notebook in hand, she directed where to place the chicken coop, where to plant the grapefruit trees. Her smile was radiant under the sun, erasing the sadness and hardship of the past few months. But they forgot one thing. In poor rural areas, news travels faster than the mountain wind. The fact that Crazy Toan, as the villagers called him when he first arrived, suddenly had hundreds of millions in hand, buying materials by the truckload, became the hottest topic at the village tea stall. Rumors flew wild. I heard he sold some antique bike for $1 billion, not just 100 million. He's a rich guy hiding from debt. I bet he's still burying gold under his floorboards. Curious prying eyes began to turn toward that lonely hill. Passers-by no longer offered friendly greetings. Instead, they lingered longer, peering intently into his yard. Toan sensed the change. The instincts of a man who had lived through much despite his memory loss made his skin crawl. That afternoon, while re-roofing the kitchen, Toan spotted 2 strange young men on an exciter motorbike, circling back and forth at the foot of the hill. They didn't come up. They just stood below, pointing up at his house and whispering. Toan furrowed his brow, gripping the hammer tightly in his hand. Smells like trouble, he thought. But seeing Diem eagerly watering her newly planted vegetables, he couldn't bear to worry her. Today was the district market day. Diem wanted to go down to buy household supplies and new chicken breeds. Toan intended to go with her, but the installation of the water pump was unfinished, and the sky looked like a storm was brewing. He needed to cover the cement pile. You stay home and finish up. I'll be quick. I'll catch a ride with the neighbor. It's convenient, Diem reassured her husband. Toan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. He handed Diem 5 million Vietnamese dong instructing her carefully, "Hide the money well. Buy what you need and come straight home, don't wander around." DM left. Toan was home alone. The atmosphere on the hill suddenly became terrifyingly silent. The usual bird song vanished, replaced by the wind whistling through the cracks in the wood like the catcalls of ghosts. Around 10 a.m., Toan was busy down in the well installing the pipe when he heard the roar of a car engine. Not a material truck. This engine sounded much smoother and heavier. Toan climbed out of the well, looking toward the gate. A black pickup truck windows tinted pitch black rolled ominously into his yard. The truck stopped. No one got out immediately. It just sat there, engine idling thrum, 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 like a predator observing its prey. Toan wiped his hands on his pants, stepping into the middle of the yard, his voice hardening. "Who's there? Who are you looking for?" The car doors swung open. 3 men stepped out. Not farmers, not traders. They wore camouflage pants, combat boots, and looked like thugs. The leader had a long scar running from his eyelid down to his chin. He looked at Toan with insolent eyes. "Your Toan right heard you just hit a big jackpot." Toan took a step back, grabbing a crowbar leaning against the brick pile. "I don't have anything. You have the wrong house." Scarface smirked, stepping closer and kicking over a water bucket at his feet. "Can't be wrong. The whole district is buzzing about it. You sold some keepsake bike for 100 million. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to borrow. My boys and I are in a tight spot. Lend us 50 million. I'll pay you back when I have it. Borrow." That was just an excuse for extortion. Toan knew well that if he gave money today, they'd come back tomorrow for more. And the day after, they'd demand the house. Hot blood rushed through Toan's veins. Memory loss or not, the unbowed spirit of his past remained intact. Toan gripped the crowbar, his gaze razor sharp. "That money is my wife and I's sweat and tears. I don't have a single penny for you. Get off my land." Scarface froze. He hadn't expected this crazy farmer to fight back. "You tired of living, huh?" He pulled a switchblade from his pocket. Click. The blade flashed. The other 2 pulled iron pipes from their waistbands surrounding Toan. The situation hung by a thread. Toan alone with a crowbar against 3 armed thugs. Scarface lunged first, thrusting the knife straight at Toan's stomach. By natural reflex, Toan dodged left fast as lightning. Whoosh! The knife missed his shirt. Toan swung the crowbar, not at the head he didn't want to kill, but smashed it hard onto the wrist, holding the knife. Crack! "Ah!" Scarface screamed, dropping the knife. Seeing their leader hit the other 2 charged at once. At that moment, something strange happened. Toan's body moved automatically. He didn't think. His limbs knew exactly what to do. He ducked under a pipe swing, then used his shoulder to ram hard into the second guy's chest, sending him flying. The third guy tried to ambush him from behind. Toan spun around, delivering a roundhouse kick straight to the temple. The thug collapsed like a chopped banana tree. In less than a minute, 3 big men were lying on the ground, groaning. Toan stood in the middle of the yard, panting. He looked at his hands, utterly shocked. Why do I know how to fight these moves? Are they military martial arts? The feeling was both familiar and alien, making his head pound like a hammer. Scarface scrambled up, clutching his broken arm, looking at Toan with terror. You're not crazy, Toan! Who are you?" Toan shouted, "Get out!" The 3 thugs helped each other into the pickup truck, revving the engine and fleeing for their lives, not daring to look back. The yard returned to silence, but this silence was more terrifying than ever. Toan knew he had just poked a fire ant nest, and more importantly, he had just discovered a terrifying secret about himself. The sky began to pour rain. The torrential jungle rain washed away the bloodstains and tire tracks in the yard. It was 5 p.m. Deem still hadn't returned. Toan started to worry. A trip to the district market usually took only 2 to 3 hours. Now it was late afternoon. He pulled out his brick phone to call Diem. "The subscriber you are calling is currently unreachable." Toan was burning with anxiety. He threw on a raincoat, grabbed a flashlight, and was about to run down to the neighbor's house, the man who gave Diem a ride, to check on her. But just as he reached the gate, he saw the neighbor running up frantically, soaked to the bone. Uncle Toan, it's bad. It's really bad." Toan rushed forward, grabbing the man by the shoulders. "Where is my wife? Where is Diem?" The neighbor gasped for air, his face completely drained of blood. "Just now at the market, Miss Diem said she was going to the back to buy breeding chickens. I waited forever, but she didn't come out. I went looking and people said some strangers forced her into a black car." Boom! Was that thunder tearing through the sky, or an explosion inside Toan's head? A black car. Wasn't that the thugs from this morning? No. He had beaten them off. They couldn't have returned that fast. Besides, they came for money. Why kidnap Diem? The neighbor continued, his voice trembling. I saw them drop this where Miss Diem was standing." He handed Toan an object. It was Diem's hair clip, and clipped to it was a piece of paper wrapped in plastic. Toan snatched the note, shining his flashlight on it through the pouring rain. The handwriting was neat, meticulous, not the scrawl of uneducated thugs. "The 100 million from the bike is just chump change. If you want your wife alive, bring the item to the old warehouse at Cloud Pass before 12 a.m. tonight. Do not call the police, and don't forget who you are, Wild Wolf." Toan's arms dropped. The note fell into a mud puddle. Wild Wolf, that name. It rang in his head like a death knell. Memories came flooding back like a breaking dam. Not everything, but sharp, jagged fragments. He saw himself dressed in black, holding a gun, standing in the shadows. He saw himself protecting something. A suitcase, a USB, drive, or a state secret. What is the item they mentioned? Toan rushed back into the house. He tore through the pile of old belongings he had kept since washing up here. From the tattered backpack he wore on the day of his accident, he pulled out an old dagger with a horn handle. He twisted the handle hard. Click! The handle was hollow. A tiny gold key fell out. It turned out he was never just a down-on-his-luck CEO. The motorcycle he sold was just a decoy. What they needed was whatever this key opened. And Diem, his gentle, innocent wife, was now in the hands of the demons from his past. Toan stood up. The gentle eyes of the vegetable farmer had completely vanished. In their place were the cold, ruthless eyes of a predator. He went to the corner of the room, pulling out a dusty black canvas bag he had never touched. He put on a black jacket and laced up his old combat boots. He tucked the dagger into his belt. Toan looked at the cozy wooden house he and Diem had built with their own sweat and tears. "Diem, wait for me. I'm coming for you. And tonight, anyone who touched you will pay with blood." Toan stepped out into the night rain, merging into the darkness. The 100 million dong motorcycle was sold, but it had awakened a monster. And that monster's name was Wild Wolf. Dear friends, from a gentle farmer with a humble dream of 100 million, Toan has been pushed to the brink. What is the truth behind the identity of Wild Wolf? What is the item that the kidnappers are after? And can Toan make it to the old warehouse at Cloud Pass before midnight, with nothing but his bare hands and a dagger? A bloody night is about to begin. Simple happiness has shattered, making way for a battle of life and death.